Hey, it's Michael from agiletraining.co.uk. Welcome back. Sorry, I've been a little quiet on my channel, but I can promise you this is gonna change because I've just got the outline for another something like 20-25 videos. So I'm gonna refresh also my most watched videos. So please stay tuned, please subscribe now. Yes, please go in and hit that button, hit the bell. So you're gonna get a notification when the new video is live, and I'm gonna also add a few videos about the service desk. And as you ask, yes, I'm listening to you, some of you. We're gonna go straight to the point, so they're gonna be shorter. Go straight into the point. Okay, so this time we're gonna talk about the permissions, how to use the roles, how to use how to basically change the global permissions, how to basically optimize the project so you can set that little, let's say, like a private project. And also I'm going to show you how to set specific permissions, or maybe who can actually manage sprint, who can add attachments, and also it's just an example. But before we're gonna go for it, very quick message, self-promotion. So I just refreshed my training course. If you go to my website, which is agiletraining.co.uk or online.agiletraining.co.uk, you're gonna see this those 3 courses, and my flagship product, which is how to start with Jira Agile fast, dedicated for Scrum Masters Manager, is live. Also, if you just beginner, you don't know how to start it, I've got absolutely free training course and Jira for administrators. For just this is going to be a new product, new course for the Jira admins, for dedicated to actually only self-hosted version Jira server. It's going to be live very, very soon. If you're interested, let me know. But right now I've got 50% discount for all my actually plans. That also includes 3 hours consultation. But just to let you know, there's only 3 slots because I'm pretty busy with this stuff. But this one, first 10 users going to get 50% discount. Yeah, so first 10 users up to 30 days going to get 50% discount. How to start with Jira Agile fast, and actually 70% of the course is refreshed. I've got brand new basic materials. There is a brand new Kanban, Scrum, and also the stuff that we're going to talk about this right now, which is the Jira admin. All right, that's it. So let's dive into Jira. Let's set our groups. I'm going to explain how to create. What's the difference between role? What's the difference between group? And we're going to do it pretty quick. But please stay tuned. This is going to be a little bit longer video. Right. So before we go further, let's just explain our hit the mic. Just to explain what is gonna happen and what is the normal the issue with the permission. So by the way, every time when you create a project, when you're actually starting with Jira, and in this case we're going to use Jira Cloud, but absolutely no problem to replicate this issue on the Jira server. And normally when you create a Jira from scratch, the permission scheme is 100% open. So what does it mean? Anyone can go into any projects and see what is going on, add the comment, change the user, assign the user at attachment, and so on and so. So basically, what does it mean? Anyone can perform almost any operations across whole projects in Jira. And obviously, there's no wrong or right way, but very often you have to set like a little bit privacy. So some projects need to be limited for other users, and that's why we're going to use in this case roles. So I'm not going to go through much details about what's the difference between role and group, because historically Jira got only users and groups. Later was added actually from I think it's something like version 4 or 5, or I think maybe even 6 roles. So roles basically like additional filter, like it's like a layer. I'm going to paste actually the article so you can actually read the difference. But if you want to use really Jira like a pro, you should start using roles and groups. Do not use basically project permissions based on a single user, because some person will be impossible to perform, to lock access. And just in a long story short, roles gives you a lot of capacity. You can even limit. You still need to actually create groups for specific your project roles, like for instance project managers, scrum masters, developers, but later you can more precisely get access to that group in other projects. So it gives you a lot of options. That's why you should use roles, even if you don't fully understand how they work. And I know they could be a little bit confusing. So in our actually case, yes, we're going to create those 3 groups, which is going to be our DBIM project, like whatever. And it doesn't really matter if it's Scrum, Kanban, or just a project management. If you're using Jira Cloud, that's very important, free version, you won't be able to perform these operations. Really sorry, but that's how Atlassian decided to do it. So you need to have at least that $10 license. Yes, of course, in a server it's not the case. You can replicate very easily. It's just going to be that one little difference in the naming, because in server there's no people. Okay, so let's do it. Let's stop talking and let's do it. So yes, we're going to create new groups. We're going to configure new groups. We're going to add some users to the group. We're going to configure the roles, copy the permission schemes, and set the permission schemes. So it's going to be a little bit longer video. Please be prepared. Maybe I'm going to split it in half. All right, so I'm on my Jira Cloud. It doesn't really matter, but let's see what we've got here. So let's go back from the dashboard. We've got our DBAM project. As I told you, the name doesn't really matter what name it is. I decided to use it like this. And I've got only 3 tickets, but this time we won't be able to actually, we're not going to touch any tickets. We don't really need any tickets. So my issue is, I am the project administrator. I'm system administrator. That's very important. And I would like to limit access to that project, to that my specific group of people. So I have to perform that operations from the beginning. So step 1 is to configure. So step 1 is to add new groups to Jira. So how are we going to do it? Of course, we're going to go to administrations, groups, and we're going to go after put something like here, DBIM managers or product owners, doesn't really matter. Let's create create like this. There you go. And on purpose, because I just want to show you how that stuff works, I'm not going to add any user. So yes, there's like no really wrong or right way to do this. Maybe you can actually establish new groups right now and come back to that later, or you can do it at the same time. I would say just leave it. Maybe leave out adding users until the last moment. So I'm not going to add any users because I just want to show you, that stuff works. Create new group. I'm going to call it Scrum Masters. There we go. And I also would like to add additional group, which is my developers. Yeah. So developers. Create group. Okay, you can ask, why I need a roles. I can actually use groups, and absolutely true. That's absolutely true. But if you want to use Jira like a pro, and believe me, you're gonna thank me later, I will give you the suggestion. Start also using roles straight away, because that's gonna give you that extra freedom, more capacity. Okay, so we got this one. And by the way, this is also the way how to configure the project in read-only mode. If you want to know how to set read-only mode groups, let me know. But it should be very clear to you just in a second. Okay, so this step is completed. So now I should do the roles. But before I'm going to do it, there's it's very, very important step to do. I have to make sure that the new groups got access to Jira, and they can actually create issues and they can browse users. This is very, very important, because sometimes people keep forgetting about this, and I've got phone calls, oh, we just set a new group, we set a new role, but it doesn't work. People are actually seeing service desk. Like, why? What's the problem? Because you forgot to give them access to the application. So let's go back I'm just going to be jumping between my tabs. But here, if we're going to tab, just put the dot, which is my shortcut, and go for application access. We're going to go into the Jira software. Obviously, it's if you're using Service Desk, you have to do it for a Service Desk. But in this case, I'm going to use Jira software. And as you can see, we've got only those 3 groups right now. So I'm going to add it. Let's go for developers, managers, Scrum Masters. Super simple, super simple. That's done. So now they've got access to Jira. So you can think, okay, I'm done. No, there's one more very, very important thing to do. You have to jump into the global permissions. Global permissions. And in global permissions, you have to make sure that the new group also got access to browse users, or maybe, if you want to administrate, and maybe project owners or maybe managers will be able to perform the bulk changes if that's the case. So let's go and say browse users and groups. And of course, it's going to be Scrum Masters. Say his operation, because you have to do it, unfortunately, for that every group one by one. So browse user. So we've got. Just don't like that screen because it's just like almost disappearing. And browse users, and that would be DBIM. Come on. Developers, yeah. So let's have a look. Maybe I missed something. So what we've got here? So we've got developers, Scrum Masters. I forgot about the managers, but doesn't really matter, So DBIM managers. There you go. And also, as I told you, I want to just have make sure that bulk operation can be done by only, let's say, Scrum Masters. Managers don't need to even got this capacity. That's cool. So that is fantastic. I'm done. So now that's completed. So let's go jump straight away to the next step. And our next step is to create project roles. Yes. So again, I hit the dot. And we're going to start creating DBIM managers, DBIM Scrum Masters. I'm going to go into the and DBIM developers. There you go. So that's completed. And as you can see, roles are very, very simple. So it's not even that, well, yes, you can actually add default members to the roles. I'm not going to go through this right now, but as you can see, it's a very, very simple way to create roles. Okay, so we're good. We're good. We're doing really, really good. So now let's go back to the project. Oh God, I'm still not a big fan of Jira Cloud. I swear, in a server, everything is such easy way. Here it's like I've got some confusing actually informations for the cloud, but that doesn't really matter. Okay, so we're good. So now we'll be a little bit jumping between this subjects. So we need to go into the project settings, and before we go into the permissions, I'm going to show you people. So by the way, if you're using Jira Server, in the server you don't have people, but you've got users and roles. And there's the permissions actually looks absolutely the same. Yeah. So look at this. People are free to add, but let's do something a little bit different before. Yeah, a little bit different before. So we're going to be jumping between them. Sorry for that. So people are empty, absolutely fine. I checked that. We can actually start configuring this, I would say, in the almost pre-last moment. So why? Before we go into the start adding people, let's talk about that permission scheme. So permission scheme is that meaty bit in Jira. So this is actually where you're going to decide what people can do. But before we're going to start actually changing it, it's very important information. Look at this. I'm at the moment in default permission scheme. The name is very important. It's a default permission scheme. What does it mean? If I'm going to go over here and start editing this, at the moment it's only 2 because of my Jira is almost blank. But in your case, you could actually change. You can actually change that settings for maybe even every single project. So it's very important information. Just always make sure when you're changing the permission or whatever, maybe workflow, your screens, whatever, just absolutely make sure how many projects are going to be affected by your change. So for that reason, I don't want actually 2 projects to be affected by this. I need to copy the permission scheme first. Okay, so let's leave it. Let's go back. I'm going to jump again into the administrations, go back into my Jira software in the second tab, just like jumping, but it's much quicker, and go to the permission schemes. We don't have that actually much. And as you can see, I've already got, because I've been rehearsing this, I've already actually got this permission scheme called DBIM. But what the hell? Let's do it again. I'm going to delete that. So let's assume you haven't seen this. So look at this. I'm going to copy my default permission scheme. Yep. Because that's the easiest way. You can always, you can actually go and add completely blank one and start adding from the bottom. But believe me, this is actually much more difficult. I'm just going to show you in a second why. Why copying is way much easier, because we've got this special little permission in Jira Cloud. In server, is a little different. Here, let's go for edit. Just already losing voice. And let's remove it. Update. So okay, I'm not gonna going to permissions, but very important information is here. There is no project associated with that permission scheme. So let's do it. Let's change it. So now I'm gonna go back into my project settings, use different scheme, and I'm gonna go for my DBIM. Bang, done. And look at this. Now, when I do just hit F5, there you go. 1 project. So when I go back and edit, what I'm looking for is that information. So it's only affected by 1 project. And now, this is actually why you, in my opinion, you're not supposed to start from blank. Because look at this. When I'm going to start actually creating a blank one, like I'll just call it idiotic name, demo 1. And I go into the permissions. Look at this, everything over here is blank. And I can tell you why that's going to be a problem, because if Jira Cloud is using some kind of plugins, like I'm using, for instance, here, Script Runner, JSU, or even, Portfolio, you needed access to the add-ons. So you please do not touch add-ons project access, otherwise you're gonna have a problem with the plugins. They can actually, if you've got some automations in the background, or you want to access through the portfolio, you won't be able. Basically, will be just start complaining, and will be just like sometimes it's a little bit tricky to fix it, because you have to go copy a default one and absolutely make sure they are in a place. So that's why copying basically the default one and adjusting is way much easier in my opinion. Okay, all right, I'm done. So now let's start configuring. So as you can see, we've got this little annoying, for me, issue over here, any logged user. What does it mean? Obviously, anyone who's gonna log to the Jira will get access to this project. So my personal advice is remove from everywhere that that group, because it's a group. It's actually group or role. I think it's group. That will just guarantee, even when you're gonna start moving on linking issues, you won't be able to actually see all their tickets, because sometimes people are doing this like a little bit. They think, oh, I'm just gonna remove browse project and that's it. No, because if people actually you're gonna leave, for instance, from moving, assigning, or closing issues, people still will be able to somehow see the tickets, especially keep the secrecy on other issues. Okay, so I'm not gonna, of course, do it for everyone, but I'm gonna start removing. I'm gonna remove that any logged user. I'm not gonna touch, of course, Atlassian add-ons. Here again, application with any logged user. And let's pretend we've done it for the rest. And now I'm gonna start configuring my groups. Let's do it. So go for edit, project role, and look at this, how easy it is. Unfortunately, project role, so very important, not the group, yeah. A little bit hideous work because yes, you have to do it like one by one, or you can actually put over here. So, but yeah, I prefer like this. Unfortunately, it's Scrum Masters. There we go. So browse projects, manage sprints. So it's actually again very important because I would like to add Scrum Masters. Scrum Masters can manage sprints. So product managers don't really need to manage sprints. Same about the service desk. You can completely ignore it because this is actually not a service desk. By the way, if you're using service desk, yes, absolutely make sure that your group is configured. Okay, assignable user. Again, I maybe want to change it to everyone, but in my case, I would say Scrum Masters, absolutely yes, and project roles and developers. The managers don't really need to even assign get access to assignable users, yes, or as I told you, in my case, maybe attachments, yeah. So obviously you can actually go through the rest, like delete issues, maybe deleting issues. Again, that's going to be administrators in this case, but why not maybe product owners. So again, we're going to go for project roles and say the managers can only do it, yeah. So same about the comments, time trackings, attachments. Again, maybe just a Scrum Master can create attachments, whatever is gonna be good for you. And you know what, we're almost done. So I left that actually step for the last one just to show you how that stuff works, because believe me, if we're gonna go back into the command Jira into people, I won't go back to the dashboard. So still don't get, the Jira Cloud navigation is a bit confusing, but whatever, it's me. So now what we're supposed to do, we should go to people, yeah. So that's why I've left this actually to the last moment, so you can actually understand how the roles works in Jira. So now we can actually start adding and configure permissions. So let's go in edit. So here we've got, come on. So now that's the group and that's the role. So we've got developers. Yes, we've got DBA and developers. Yeah, back. One more. Managers. DBA managers. And look at this, this is why you can more precise use roles, because maybe this is a great example. Maybe you want access QA managers to this project, yeah. So you don't have to actually use that group. You can use that role. So that's the advantage. Okay, I'm done with that. Obviously Scrum Masters is, let's maybe add it. So DBM Scrum Masters, and the role is going to be DBM SM, as we call it. Yeah, here, there we go. That's done. So that is almost the last step. Oh yes, it is actually the last step. But let's have a look. What's going to happen now? Oh, this project isn't available. So why? Of course, it works great. It works as I want. So even I'm a system administrator, but I don't have access to this project. This is actually very interesting, but that's how Jira works. So the problem over here is not the problem. It's actually on purpose. I forgot to add myself on purpose to the group. So let's do it. Let's add it. So I have to go back. Hit a group. Go for groups, and I don't know, I'm maybe gonna be manager. Why not? And I'm gonna add myself, yeah. So obviously I've got only one user, and sometimes it's like a bit, there's some kind of delay, so there's like delay because it's a cloud. So Jira is a little bit, the cloud version is a little bit extra time, but it actually should be pretty quick. Look at this, that's done. I was actually really quick last time, took me like 5 minutes. But as you can see, I already can see this because I'm in the right group. So obviously you have to make sure the permissions is configured. And now we are absolutely done. And what is the another advantage? You can use that permissions key and maybe copying and replicate, just a little bit, do some tweaks, changes for your another project. All right, thank you very much. Sorry for that little bit longer video, but it's a, I would say, very cool subject. And of course, as always, please leave the comment below if you've got any questions. Thank you so much.